And Dubuque County Board of Supervisors meeting, 5:30 p.m. Right on time. I'm going to ask at this time everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remove your caps, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have revised our agenda over the last few months here and to allow public comments early in the meeting. So at this time, we also will have them later in the meeting. But this is public comments. At this time, anyone may address the board on matters of which are on the agenda. Please go to the podium, state your name and home address if anybody has any comments prior to the meeting here. So Representative Chuck Eisenhardt is approaching. Chuck, if you could state your address.
Representative Chuck Eisenhardt, 1665 Kaufman Avenue. This is indirectly on your agenda, but I wanted to bring something to your attention that I could use some clarification on based on your work session this afternoon with the Local Food Policy Council. So you know that's been local foods, one of my priorities in the 10 years I've been with the state legislature, working with a number of communities to kind of develop some momentum around that. And there are several other counties that have similar groups. One of them is meeting this week in Cedar Rapids. And one of the items on their agenda is to discuss the advisability of having a collective effort by the several county groups towards a common agenda with respect to the legislature where I serve, and possibly some public relations in terms of creating that public face for the local foods movement in Des Moines and elsewhere. So that may result in a resolution by those groups to join together in some type of association, which I think would be a good step in the right direction, bringing some momentum and support for all the communities. Sometimes we make it farther together than we do individually. I heard today a discussion, though, regarding whether or not, now I'm not speaking for the Dubuque County group. Let me just say that at the outset. I'm not sure if the Dubuque County group can be represented at it. But if such a resolution were to be made and the Dubuque Council wanted to become part of it, I heard today that there may be a need for the decisions of that group to be ratified by the Board of Health before they would become effective. I would note that the Board of Health only meets like every 2 months, though, and sometimes when you're trying to make an impact, policy levels at the state level, sometimes it's like tomorrow you need to do something. And so I just wanted to clarify with you what your intention is regarding whether or not a development like that could proceed with some dispatch, some quickness, or whether that would require an elaborate, lengthy potential decision-making process through the county structure. No, it's not on your agenda. I don't know if it's something you need to vote on or not, but it might be useful for me to get that, clarification before I went down on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. We won't be able to obviously take action on it because it wasn't posted, but thank you for your comments, and I'm sure we'll have some follow-up discussion. Okay. Any other public comments prior to the meeting? Okay. Hearing none. Proclamations, we have none. That's number 1 on the agenda. Number 2 on the agenda, approval of minutes of the meetings of July 8th and 15th, 2019.
Motion to approve as presented.
And I will second that motion.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as distributed and posted. Any further discussion or any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. All right, we have consent items, and these items can be acted on with a single motion without separate discussion unless one of the supervisors requests that a specific item be considered separately. So we have item A, a Class BB beer permit, Key West Fire and EMS. B, quarterly report of the county recorder. C, quarterly report of the county auditor. D, quarterly report of the county sheriff. E, recommendation from the county assessor regarding 2019 allowances and disallowances for homestead credit, military exemptions, and disabled veteran homestead exemptions. Recommendations from the city assessor regarding 2019 allowances and disallowances for homestead credit, military exemption, and business property tax credit. What's your pleasure on the consent items?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, so motion to approve consent items A through F with a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Item 4 on the agenda, procurement procedures. Item A is proof of publication.
I think we're void of that.
Okay, we'll go right to 4B, which would be amendment of proposal, Sheriff Department Food Service. Sheriff Kennedy, if you would like to join us.
Hello again.
Hi. No stranger to our meetings today?
No, spent most of my day here. At the last meeting, we discussed the RFPs the bids that we received for the food service for the jail. It was our recommendation at that time to go with Aramark, even though they were more expensive than the lowest bidder. Aramark amended their bid to allow for a $20,000 contingency fund annually paid to the sheriff's office that we could use for whatever we would need, which brought the bids to basically net zero. So we did receive the paperwork from Aramark, and that's what should be included in your Dropbox, the copy of that agreement that shows that they are also adding the $20,000 contingency fund.
Okay.
And so it's our hope that now with that paperwork that we can continue on and get the contract with Aramark and get that signed, as our current contract with Aramark is up on August 1st.
Okay.
Not familiar with the concept of a contingency fee. Has the county attorney looked at it, Sheriff Kennedy?
No, I did not get it reviewed by the county attorney's office.
I don't know what it means. I've never seen a contingency payment.
When I spoke with the representative from Aramark, they basically said we could use it on whatever we wanted. If we wanted to replace the flooring in the kitchen, we could do it. If we wanted to replace the ovens, we could do it, and it would be covered under that, or basically anything. So.
And the folks that are here are not aware of the discussions we've had in the past about accepting a bid from not the lowest bidder and the reasons for that, and that you have discretion to do that and all those things. I don't know that we need to do that. We've had a lengthy discussion at a previous board meeting about that.
Yep.
I just don't know of a contingency. It would be nice to know, what we might do with that. It's obviously an attempt, to bring their bid down to match the lowest bid, which was Trinity, so.
Yep.
I want to point out that there was no requirement to go out to bid to begin with. And in the interest of protecting the taxpayers and keeping folks honest, I guess, for lack of a better term, that we did go out and get bids. But for various reasons, you and your team are recommending that we approve the Aramark agreement, and they have also stepped up and said they're gonna, at $20,000 a year, times 3 for $60,000, which makes them the low bidder in essence anyway. So I think it's, I understand it. We did have this discussion at a work session, and I don't think there was a request for legal review at that point. But I think I'm prepared to move forward and see if there's any questions from the,
I'm very pleased that they were able to match the other competitive bid. So I think that really shows their interest in Dubuque County's business. And on top of that, if you're pleased with them as a vendor and they do quality work and we've got good relationships, that's the outcome you would want, unless you were another vendor in that industry. Then you'd want the business, obviously. But what we want is the best service for Dubuque County taxpayers at the best price, and that's what we're getting. So I'm excited about that. Procedurally, I don't know, did we have we don't have a resolution for approving the earmark contract tonight, do we? I didn't think I
No.
saw that. Okay.
When we talked last time, we basically temporarily approved the Aramark bid pending this paperwork.
Okay.
Because it was stated by one of the board members that they wanted to see it in writing before we
Is that
agreed.
me?
I believe it was.
I think it
It was
was.
Supervisor
I think
Wickham.
I said I
I
wanted to
might not
remember.
have been at this part of the meeting.
You-
I was not
I think
present
you
yet.
might be correct.
But I don't disagree. I think it's a great thing. I'll just ask our budget director to track this so that we make note of it, so we're looking forward in the future as well.
Just procedurally, would you sign this? I see the document, or would the chair sign it? Okay. And so that would be included probably in our motion to approve the agreement. Okay. Unless there's any further discussion. I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the amendment to the request for proposal for between Dubuque County Sheriff's Department and the Airmark Correctional Services.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion or further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
Thank you. Good work.
Thank you, Sheriff Kennedy. Next up on the agenda is under item 4 is 4C. Request for quotes, 2 current model year small SUVs for the health and zoning departments. And Tammy, Henry, do you have any input into this?
Yeah, I recall them in the budget.
Right. Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for quote for the SUVs for the health and zoning departments.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the request for quotes. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried 3-0. Item 4D on the agenda, request for quotes. 1 current model year Dodge Grand Caravan for the Veterans Affairs Department.
Make a motion to approve the request for quotes for the Veteran Affairs Department.
Okay,
And I will second that.
okay, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the motion and for the request for quotes for the Dodge Grand Caravan for Veterans Affairs Department signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. All right, now we move to item 5. We have proof of publication. We have for a public hearing.
I see the publication in the TH Cascade Pioneer and the Dyersville
Yep.
Commercial. I will make a motion to approve the proof of publication for the public hearing.
Second.
And again, this is 5A. Motion was made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. All right, 5B is a public hearing, amendment of the secondary roads current FY20 construction program. And we have Anthony Bargett, our county engineer. Will take the lead on this.
Close enough. Okay, so basically what this is about is the DOT, Iowa DOT is requiring us to amend in projects that we will let in this year, but they're still programmed for fiscal year '21. So for instance, the top category of projects there from anywhere from Rockville Road paving, Lake Elmore Road paving, Old Castle Road paving at the very top there, all the way down to the bottom list of Wapaton Road paving project. They're all scheduled for construction next year in fiscal year '21, but we will be bidding out those projects or letting them sometime late winter, early spring in fiscal year '20. So to get ahead of that, I want to go ahead and amend those into the fiscal year '20 project year. And they're already in the 5-year construction program as it is, but we're just moving them up 1 year. I do have one project at the very bottom there. It's Dyersville East Road paving project. I had anticipated to do that for next year. For some reason, I did not get it in the 5-year construction program. I just missed it. So I want to add that into the amendment as well. So that would be from Golf Course Road all the way over to the Holy Cross Road. Would be scheduled for next year, fiscal year '21 as well, construction year, but again, let and bid in the fiscal year 2020 fiscal year. So, any questions?
Maybe before we open the public hearing, can you read off the roads just for us that are there, that are being modified?
So we will have a local options sales tax project on Rockville Road, Lake Elmore Road, and a portion of Old Castle Road. That would be HMA paving on those roads. Then we have a paving project on Monastery Road from Sundown Road over to Highway 151. That project type is yet to be determined. We have a culvert replacement on Conrad Lane. We have a bridge replacement on Claren Road. There's a bridge replacement on Stager Road. A bridge replacement on Chesterman Road. A bridge project on North Bankston Road. There's two culverts we'll be replacing at Terra Lane and McAllister Road right close to each other. And then another paving project on Wapaton Road.
Thank you. I will make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Carried 3-0. If anyone would like to come forward and speak on the, on the construction, secondary roads, current FY20 construction program on the amendment, please do so by approaching the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none?
We'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Carried. Okay. Next item is 5C, public hearing, proposed reclassification of a portion of Humke Road from Area Service B to Area Service C Road. And Anthony, before we go into the public hearing, any comments on this?
Yes, back on May 13th, 2019, a petition for changing a portion of Humke Road, which is Class B right now, was submitted to change it to Area Service Class C, which is just gating both ends. All landowners, adjacent landowners within this stretch signed the petition, and that was all verified here. So we've had some discussion since then on proceeding with this. So,
I don't know if you have the technology, but can you bring it up on the map so the public generally knows what we're talking about? Is that possible?
For anyone following online or at home, it's 7I on the agenda is the resolution for this item.
Thank you.
about the stretch from, I guess it's Potter's Bluff Lane. just close to about 3/4 of a mile.
And the proposal is to do what?
To change that to a Class C designation, which is gated.
Be gated, okay. And then who would have access to those gate keys?
The way we specified the resolution, persons who will have access rights shall be the owner, lessee, or person in lawful possession of any adjoining land, agent or employee of the owner, person in lawful possession of any adjoining land, any peace officer, any public employee whose duty is to supervise the use or perform facility located upon the road.
I did have one citizen group contact me related to snowmobile access. They stated they have access now. And I don't know the exact trail system, but they stated they have access now. And their question was, will they continue to have access? And how would that work?
No, they would not. No.
Okay, maybe there'll be somebody who can speak more to that.
Maybe in the public hearing, they could speak to it.
Okay, how many C-grade roads do we have right now?
We
Roughly.
have a stretch of Sleepy Hollow Road, Burton's Furnace Road, and then also Dry Hollow Road. Thank you. That's the ones I can think of right now.
Okay. So I traveled this road. I know the other supervisors did as well, actually by foot. Started from the bottom and worked way up. It's a beautiful valley, great tree canopy. In my observation, it doesn't probably have a useful transportation purpose. It's one culvert and a few feet from totally washing out, about 40 to 50 feet, in my opinion, and probably is generally unsafe to travel on unless you're on an off-road vehicle, in my opinion, or a big truck like Supervisor Baker had it. He made it from top to bottom. I did not try that with my car.
I wouldn't have recommended it. If I could have reversed out of there, I would have, but I'm still finding mud in places on my truck that I never thought I could get. But Mr. Potter was there to walk the road. I was in my truck, and lucky he's a big, strong guy, because we physically had to move a tree out of the road, and there's a rock in the middle of the road at some point about halfway down that most vehicles would not be able to traverse over. I had to put the wheels on the left side up on the rock because I couldn't straddle it with a four-wheel drive pickup, and it's not passable, and I think it serves no purpose as a road. I think down the road, if you'll pardon the pun, if we want to have discussion about doing something else with it, I think we can do that. But for the purpose of serving the landowners, and the problems there were, that people could get in there and party, and there would be no way for law enforcement to get in there to find out who was in there. At least this way, if they're gonna walk in, they'll have to park, and they'll have to park outside the gate and walk in. That'll be a sign for law enforcement that there's people down in there. So I'm real comfortable with it. I'm glad that I drove it. Wouldn't want to do it again. So I don't know if, and then we have public hearing, so I'm assuming Mr. Potter may speak during that.
Motion to open the public hearing.
I will second that.
Motion being seconded to open the public hearing on converting the Humke Road from Class B to Class C. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. All right, the public hearing is open, and if you would like to speak on this matter, please approach the podium, give your name and address for the record.
My name's Aaron Potter. I live at 19045 Potter's Bluff Lane. Just to speak in reference to the snowmobile trail that Supervisor Wickham brought up concern about, I'll just put this map up and I'll kind of show the people where that snowmobile trail is. So it runs adjacent to Humke Road coming from the intersection with Potter Hill. And then right at this little dash right here, it actually turns and goes through the private property, which is provided to the snowmobile. So the trail doesn't operate on the level B portion at all. And my house is here, and I can tell you that snowmobiles don't travel this as for any other reason. Typically, especially the snow that we get, there's not enough to actually create a safe trail for it over the ruts and the rocks in the level B portion of the roadway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to comment on, during the public hearing on the Humke Road? Yes.
My name is Suzette Smith. My address is 14986 Teelan Road, and we own property along the road. It's been in my husband's family probably over 30 years. Years ago, they had a meth lab was found up there. We stopped using that roughly 7 to 8 years ago for livestock. We've had livestock that were hit with fireworks. We've had our livestock get out. The gates are left open. We've had people four-wheeling up in the bluffs in our acreage. So we've ran into a lot of problems. We actually quit using the land for the purpose of, there's just way too much stuff that does go on up there.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anyone else to comment on the Humke Road conversion from Class B to Class C?
Here, I would like some discussion and still keep the public hearing open in case people want to
Okay.
comment on our discussion. So I appreciate the clarification on the snowmobile. And so when they saw Humke Road, they probably thought that Humke Road was going to be closed, and so only this portion. So I appreciate that. When I was kind of looking at it, I think, I made a statement about the transportation option. I don't think it has a lot of value there. I see gating it as just maybe a temporary fix and maybe not a good one. My experience with the gated areas that we currently have aren't real great. They still have issues of gates being broke. They still have issues of vandalism in other areas. So it may slow people down potentially, but it hasn't stopped. I mean, if you look at the Chesterman Tunnel, I think you'll see plenty of graffiti, and it's spilled on to private property as well. And so I'm not a big fan of the gates. So I'll jump to the quick. I think I think really two areas I would like to see is take this as an easement that we currently have. Is that correct? Is get that easement into private hands. And so you're going to have a public property that's not accessible. And so that's the route I would like, is that the property owners, I see your requests, I feel your pain. I live on an area that also has some issues of people going back and forth. There's a little parking lot for a park off Riverside Road, and for some reason people love to throw their garbage there and shoot fireworks and think that it's a place to go, even though it's a dead end. It could be the worst place to go, but they find it, and we try to swat them out of there. But get it into private hands and release the government easement, and so that would accomplish your needs. So that would be the one direction I would have, or open it to public. Not a big fan of having public spaces that are confined. That's not why you have public property. Public property should be for the public. If it's not going to be for the public, then get it into private hands. Does So that's where I'm at.
Supervisor McDonough? I'm gonna comment on this. We had a work session and we did, reach consensus, that this would be the direction, that we would go. And I think that option was discussed and I said I would, if that option was out there, we would hold off on this and, if we were to go with the Class C, I don't think it would make sense to immediately do as Supervisor Wickham was suggesting. I think, bypassing the Class C and going directly to abandoning the road. But I didn't find that there was interest. I think talking to County Engineer Anthony Bargett, we would need 100% of the homeowners to agree to that. And Mr. Potter was here and he didn't seem to be in agreement with that. So I think the next best thing is Class C. I don't disagree with your approach, but if we don't have 100% of the folks on board, I think this is the next best option. So understand what you're saying. I would, I'd plan on moving forward and with the resolution that's on the agenda for converting it to Class C. For the reasons stated in the previous meeting, public meeting with Mr. Potter, and the reasons stated during the public hearing, concerns of the neighbors. And again, I think for our law enforcement professionals, having an idea of who or how many are in there is important for them. Okay? And we are still in public hearing. If anyone else to speak on this, now that we've had a little more discussion, any more discussion?
I'll comment maybe just, so absolutely. If I was a private citizen and I could get a gate and a key versus owning it privately and paying property taxes, I would go that route every day as well. So yes, clearly it is the preferred method. I tongue-in-cheek said, let's gate Riverside Road. It's only 15 of us there. We probably all agree. Get a nice gate and we'd be living large just like the group just a little bit up on the river bluff. So it's for that purpose, yeah. So I understand, but I want to be able to alleviate these problems, and I just don't feel or think gates are the method to do it.
I also understand, though, that if first of all, the homeowner and the landowners are not asking us to do anything other than change this to a sea-level road. And if we are going to take a further step, and they would come back to us, we do have to put that road in a condition that takes care of the issues that you see. So we're gonna be spending taxpayer dollars on upkeep on a road that no one travels on, that snowmobilers don't use. And so it's not maybe the most preferred method, but I think it's a solution to the things that you're experiencing and that's been presented both in work session to us for a long time, lots of discussion, and then to have you come today and speak again about it. So that's gonna be the reason that I support moving it and granting the landowners' request that we move this to a sea-level road.
Yeah. I disagree with the notion we'd have to improve the road and then give it back to them.
Right.
So
Well, I
pretty
mean,
confident that would not have to happen.
But I think the engineer is the person who told us that we would have to put this into a condition that we would leave it, that it would be useful.
Yeah, Iowa code kind of talks about the process of vacating a road, and it speaks to, and you can interpret this, but it speaks to leaving it in as good a condition as possible before you hand it over to the public, or to the owners there. So we would have to determine what's as good a condition as possible. Making it traversable, that's a little bit gray. I've vacated roads in the past, and we've We've gone and rocked the road and make sure it's in good shape, bladed up really well, and then turned it over to landowners. Now, this is a Class B road, so you can interpret that a little bit differently from what we've vacated. We've done a lot of Class A short stretches, dead-end stretches that are on a little bit different status level than what this would be.
What's your experience been in Dubuque County, Delaware County, and other places related to gates?
Well, the one on Dry Hollow Road is the one we struggle with. We seem to have, vandalism of the gate itself or breaking of the locks. Don't think we've had a lot of issues with Sleepy Hollow and Burton's Furnace Road, at least in my time here. So it just kind of depends on the area of the county and who's in that area, and one area might be okay and the other area not so great, so.
Okay, thank you.
My understanding from my review of the road, the Class B road, is that the homeowners there do not access their homes from that road, and there's no expectation that that they would plan on using that for travel. So. Okay. All right, anybody else to speak on the matter in public hearing?
Well, the last comment I'll make is I appreciate the property owners and how you've handled this, and specifically, Mr. Potter, you've done a great job as far as presenting your case in a very professional and organized way. So it makes our job a little bit easier to understand the issues and what you're facing.
All right.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
And I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Public hearing is closed. Now we go to item 5D on the agenda. And this is notice of public hearing, and this is amendment to the zoning ordinance. The public hearing would be August 12th at 9 a.m. And I just would ask Tammy Henry, our interim zoning administrator, if she has any comments? Okay, self-explanatory. I'll read the cases, take my distance glasses off here. So notice of public hearing, amendment to zoning ordinance, D1. Identification number ZC number 07-19-19. Dennis and Renee Schuler, R1 rural residential to R2 single-family residential. D2, ZC number 07-20-19. Wayne and Teresa Kramer and Matt and Alyssa Kramer, A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential. Item D3, 5D3, excuse me. ZC number 07-21-19, Don Greenwood, AKA Don Hans, A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential. 5D4, ZC number 07-22-19, Diane Simon and Nick Simon, A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential.
I make a motion to approve the notice of public hearing for the amendments to the zoning ordinance.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the notice of public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. Okay, next up, item number 6, approval of plats. And we do have zoning administrator, interim zoning administrator Tammy Henry. The first one is 6A, resolution, final plat, Friedman Farm subdivision, section 2, Dodge Township.
This property is owned by Jack Freeman and is located 1.45 miles northwest of the city of Farley along Prior Road with a total of 53.94 acres surveyed. The property is zoned A1 agricultural. The purpose of this plat is to separate 4 acres to sell to Scott Steffensmeyer for a hog confinement. The survey creates 2 lots. Lot 1 is a total of 3.78 acres, and it will be sold and remain in agricultural use. Lot 2 will have a total of 50.16 acres surveyed, and it will remain in current ownership and agricultural use. Lot 1 will use a 30-foot access easement off of Pryor Road, and Lot 2 will have a 30-foot access easement across Lot 1. There were no corrections or additions required for this plat. The mortgage holders' acknowledgements are signed and attached, and some of the signatures are over 60 days, and they include owner, April 26, 2019, surveyor, March 25th, 2019, City of Farley, April 17th, 2019, County Board of Health, April 29th, 2019, County Planning and Zoning, April 16th of 2019. This plat has been reviewed by myself as Plat's officer and meets all the required signatures. I respectfully recommend approval. So what we have here is this little creation down in here is where Scott Steffensmeyer is going to be placing a hog confinement and all. He has went through quite a bit because, as you can see, it was going into a floodplain. So he has been through floodplain elevations. He's been through the Corps, the DNR, every state requirement to allow for this. And because the size of the lot meets agricultural because of what he's actually doing. And this is one where the entrance was already on for the other farm, and it's coming through there.
If there's no other questions, I'll give any
I
discussion.
have a
Go ahead.
question.
Sure.
All right.
How many, is this a master matrix hog confinement?
I could, if you'll allow me to ask Mr. Steffensmeyer to come up, he can give us more of what the exact plan is.
I didn't see any of that in here.
Hi, I'm Scott Steffensmeyer,
Hi.
29004 Prairie Road. No, this is just a rectangle hog confinement building, 2,500 head site.
Is it 2,500 or 2,480?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Because 2,500 triggers the master matrix.
Yep,
So it's 2,480. Okay? So it's a single building.
yep.
Okay? All right. Have you talked to your neighbors?
With the distance in between, I did not have to.
Okay.
That was not required.
And-
I think it's a 1,500-foot easement that you gotta have before you gotta ask permission from your neighbors. To a home, yes.
Okay. And I guess for the hog confinement, I mean, I'm familiar with the process. The Farm Bureau and the Iowa Coalition for Farmers both recommend talking to neighbors about your plans for hog confinement.
I mean, I did talk to a few of them, and they didn't care that I was doing it.
And I haven't received any calls, so just asking, and so none of them have asked about mitigating smells, et cetera?
Nope.
No, okay. All right,
What, maybe a question related to did you meet with the city of Farley, or did they just process it on their own?
The city
You went to the city council?
council meeting,
We could summarize their concerns, issues, or questions?
they had none.
Okay.
I'm
Thank
used
you.
to getting calls from people when hog confinements go up. Doesn't happen all the time, but,
Yes.
and generally, you know, what happens is family farmers, the concerns they have are smells, groundwater, and they don't all understand the process. And especially if it's gonna be an absentee, no one on site, facility, that's concerning to neighbors, but I don't reach out to them, I wait, for them to contact me.
What do you mean by nobody's on site?
So, on the ones that we've had where there's gonna be no one on site,
Oh, okay.
that's concerning to neighbors, is what my point is, so, yeah.
And this is their home site
Yeah.
here? Just make sure.
I get that.
Okay.
I was explaining to you why people might be concerned.
No, I understand.
Yeah. Right,
understand.
I mean, we had one in the Luxembourg area, and we had everybody around signed against it because the person who was gonna put it up was miles and miles away.
I heard all about it.
Okay, all right. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Steffensmeyer, your hog confinement is gonna be located in a flood area?
It is not anymore, it got removed. We got the Loma application approved to remove it out of the ground out of the flood zone.
So the ground's no longer in a flood zone
Nope.
because it was redesignated?
It was designated in 2008 from FEMA that was in the flood zone, but we took the DNR's elevation heights, sent them to FEMA, and then they went off the elevation heights to remove the ground out of the flood zone because the ground elevation was high enough to where it wasn't gonna,
Okay. And
they realized it wasn't gonna flood.
so was it an error that it was in a flood zone?
What I was told is that back in 2008 or whenever they came out with these flood zone maps, they just kind of figured they took an area or they took a, oh, how do I want to say that? They just figured about how much water was going to come down through that draw, and they figured it was just going to spread out. They didn't go off at any elevations. They just figured, well, this is where it's going to do it. Well, there's a little bit of a dam here. It's going to back up and it's going to sprawl out. So they didn't take no elevation heights, no nothing,
Okay.
and that's how they came up with it.
And you live on this property currently, is that
Yes.
right? And do you have another hog confinement operation on that land right now?
No.
Okay. And, so all my family is just so understandably very worried about water quality, as I know you are too yourself, as a land steward. So this spring, with our, very wet spring, how did your property do with the water? Did you have any flooding?
No flooding whatsoever.
So you were fine?
Yep. Never even came up to any of my buildings that are existing there already.
Okay,
There's an actual 6 foot, my lane, on the east side of my lane to the creek where that diagonal line is there. Correct. To the buildings there's a 6 foot drop. So it's, and buildings, like you said, it's going way back in here. So I mean, there's a 6 to 8 foot elevation height before the water even has to come. And to the other side, it actually is a lot lower and everything. And back in, what was it, 2008, when it flooded really bad, where Farley got like 10 inches of rain, it all came down through there and it never flooded. It never went over top of Prue Road. And if it doesn't go over top of Prue Road, it's never gonna flood back there.
and how are you handling your manure management plan for this operation?
It's all done, and with the DNR, they approved it, and
Sure.
good to go.
We have lots of folks here tonight who maybe have never been, even aware of this issue in the past about manure management. Can you just kind of tell me, are you doing anything to, are you gonna spread it on your land? What's your plan about it?
Oh, it's gonna be all on my parents' ground that I rent from them. We got 300 acres. The requirement is 166. So it's gonna take about almost 2 years, well, not quite 2 years to cover all of the ground that we rent and own.
Okay,
So for that reason, it shouldn't, for water quality, it should never get down there because it'll almost take 2 years to cover all the ground. And I know a lot of people do it back to back, same ground every year, so.
And then this will be a pit style?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the lagoons.
No.
Yeah.
would a pit style be subject to flooding?
Only if you put it lower than the flood elevation, the 100-year flood elevation.
The lagoons being outside could flood with 10 inches of rain.
Yeah.
And that's but that's why it's under roof, under the floor, it falls through, it's a lot better.
Right, but we were talking about a 100-year floodplain. But this isn't a floodplain at all, and you have no fear that a 500-year flood would not affect this?
Well, we're actually gonna build it, where their flood elevation is, it's actually, the top of the pit is actually gonna be 3 feet higher, if not 4 feet higher than the flood elevation. So we're, I mean, it's even gonna be higher than where, I mean, we're not gonna put it top of the pit, same elevation as the 100-year floodplain. I mean, that'd just be insane. It's, cause you can never predict, like you said, how much, what a flood's gonna do, or you might all of a sudden get a 500-year flood. So yeah, we're gonna raise it up just to make sure that it won't get flooded.
Okay. Thank you for the frank discussion, and I'm sure your
Appreciate the
neighbors
extra
will
time.
appreciate it, so, all right. Any other questions on the final plat for Friedman Farm subdivision?
No, I will make a motion to approve final plat resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Next up, item 6B, resolution final plat, Cass 4th edition, section 14, Center Township.
The property is owned by Casslands LLC and Brian and Kelly Cass and David and Lisa Cass, and is located 0.17 miles west of the city of Asbury along Asbury Road and Cass Road with a total of 50.08 acres surveyed. The property is zoned R2 Single Family Residential. The purpose of this plat is to add additional land to both Brian and Kelly's parcel and to add additional land to David and Lisa's parcel. The survey creates 3 lots. Lot 1 is a total of 34.85 acres surveyed, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 2 is a total of 8.92 acres surveyed, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 3 is a total of 6.58 acres with a home, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 1 will use an existing entrance off of Cass Road. Lot 2 is an approved residential entrance number 19-23 off of Asbury Road. Lot 3 will use an existing 35-foot residential access easement across Lot 1 off of Cass Road, and there were no additions or corrections required for this plat. The mortgage holders' acknowledgements are signed and attached, and some of the signatures are over 60 days old, and they include the surveyor, April 29th of 2019, City of Asbury, May 21st of 2019, County Planning and Zoning, May 21st of 2019. This plat has been reviewed by myself as Plats Officer and has all the required signatures. I respectfully recommend approval. So what we've done here is they've added this piece over to this piece. They've added this here to this. This lot 2 is something that potentially will be sold someday from the family. They're gonna maintain it right now, but someday they may eventually sell that. So this is all zoned residential. And as you can see, this is what they've done. They've come in here and taken some of this from here, and they've extended his up into here. And this has all been set up for estate purposes for a family.
Can you show me the colored slide again? I want you to just show me the, because I was out there on a drainage issue. Where's the Graf home at?
The which home, I'm sorry?
Graf, Graf? Maybe I'm in the wrong area. Are we off of Asbury Road?
Yeah, this is off Asbury Road, but these are all Cass homes. Let me look down here.
It's north, go north towards Asbury Road there.
Let's look here and see what I have for names.
I can't really read it. I'm having a hard time reading it.
It must be quite a ways. I'm not seeing the graph one.
Anybody here from? I was out there because of I know there was an issue with drainage in the one field coming off of Bud Road. That,
North of that.
I don't see the graph home there. So.
Brian Cass, 15064 Cass Road.
But their house is gonna be right there.
Right in here is what he's talking.
Okay.
That's where it will be.
All right, and that's not anywhere near this?
Well, it is, it's right above. I mean,
Okay.
it'll be right above this.
Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about, where it comes, the water comes off of Bud Road and runs into that field?
That,
And you
Like
have
there
it,
to
you have a buffer in there, right? For the,
yeah,
yeah, okay. All right, is this gonna do anything with that water flow, I guess, as well?
no, this won't do anything.
Okay.
with that.
All right. Okay. Okay, I get it. All right, thank you. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the final plat.
Second.
cool. Motion made and seconded to approve the final plat of the CAS fourth edition, section 14, Center Township. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, carried 3-0. All right, next up, 6C, resolution, Lot 1 and Lot 2, Cooey Addition, Section 4, Dodge Township. Tammy?
The property is owned by Calvin Cooey, and it's located 0.47 miles east of the city of Dyersville along Pin Oak. The property is zoned R2 Single Family Residential and A1 Agricultural with a total of 27.599 acres surveyed. The purpose of this plat is to allow the new Lot 2 to use an existing entrance access to Pin Oak and eliminates the need for an easement on the new Lot 1. The survey creates two lots. Lot 1 is a total of 1.280 acres surveyed with a home, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 2 is a total of 26.319 acres surveyed, and it will remain in current ownership and agricultural use. Lot 1 will use an existing residential access off the private road Pin Oak, and Lot 2 will use an existing access off the private road Pin Oak. There were no additions or corrections required for this plat, and there are no liens or mortgages on this property. This plat has been reviewed by myself as Plat's officer, and as all the required signatures, I respectively recommend approval. So what's happened here is, and I think I'll start by showing on the aerial here. They own this and this, and what they have is an access going through here. They're trying to take that road out, just move this over so that that road access just goes to this lot, and this one already has an access. So they're just trying to change that so there's not an easement anymore across that front property. So they've just moved the line a little bit to take that road out so it's not an easement anymore.
Questions of Tammy?
If they own it, I'm not sure, but, so why did they take that out? What's the reason behind it? I'm not objecting to it, I'm just,
Sure.
maybe from my own knowledge.
They're taking it out so that they're basically kind of cleaning up the property for down the road if they sell the other piece off, that there's not an easement anymore going through the current home site.
So previously, the property line was further to the east, it included that road,
Yeah.
or didn't include the road.
So, yeah, so right now, the property line's right here, and there's a road access. So what they've done is they've moved it over just enough to take that out of there, and then that road access just goes to here. So it's just cleaning up something for the future.
For future access to that area and keep the lot contained. Okay, great, I got it.
Supervisor McDonough, Supervisor Wickham, any
I'll make
questions?
a motion to approve the
Second.
resolution.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution approving the approval of plats for Lot 1 and Lot 2, Cooey Addition, Section 4, Dodge Township. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Okay, we're gonna move into item 7 on the agenda. Action items, 7A, resolution, appointment of deputies, assistants, and clerks. We'd go to our Human Resources Director, Dawn Sherman, on this.
I do want to point out for the auditor, both during the budget and when we proposed the personnel requisition to go out for recruitment, This will be about a 4-week overhire for training purposes. So we still have our payroll deputy auditor, Subi Brightbach. She is still here. She will be here for, it's anticipated about 4 weeks to get 2 payroll cycles in. So I just wanted to indicate that that is an additional FTE for about 4 weeks. That was discussed both in the budget and when you approved the personnel requisition. All others, I recommend approval.
All right. Any questions?
This is one of the steps to replace our longest standing
Our longest serving county employee, Subi.
We appreciate her service.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the resolution approving the personnel requisitions.
And I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. 3-0. All right, next up, 7B, resolution approving the addendum to the agreement between Dubuque County Board of Health and Dubuque County Board of Supervisors and the Dubuque Visiting Nurse Association for FY20 services. We did have a work session on this earlier today. Got some good information about the VNA and their services. Patrice, any comments on this? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution in 7B. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried, 3-0. 7C, it's a resolution approving the lease for juvenile court services office space in the federal building. This has been, previously was tabled.
Mr. Chair,
Oop.
if I may, I have been in contact with the city late last week after the agenda was posted, and at their request, we're asking to table this again. I'm going to work with them out rewriting some of the provisions of the contract. So that'll come back most likely on August 12th.
Okay. Is there a motion to table?
Make a motion to table the
And I will
resolution.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried, 3-0. 7D, resolution approving the contract addendum for the Tama Building Project Grant. Who is in the lead on this?
I don't understand it.
I don't either.
So this is where we are the fiscal agent. It's not one of Dubuque County's
Not the Jump Start.
projects. It's actually in a different county. But when it was awarded, the funds were awarded, we were appointed as financial or the fiscal agents for it. So everything runs through us. But it's not one of our projects. It's no county money involved in it. I think County Auditor Dolan would have a little bit more information, but there's been several amendments that have come in front of you in the past.
Similar to the Jump Start program ones that we saw?
This is the Tama building. This is a residential
Okay.
building. I believe
Like
it
it,
may
they
be
weren't
in
able to complete their project or something. There's some double negatives and sentences. It's kind of messy.
Make a motion to table the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to table the resolution, open for discussion. I agree, I'm not familiar with this, and we've had the grants that were through ECIA, we've had some of those. I'm not real clear on this, so I think maybe we need to have a discussion, a brief work session on what this is and get more information out there.
Put it on the agenda. Where did it come from? So it came from the auditor?
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand, but even if it's a pass-through, I think we need to know what it is, so.
I'd like to know how often we do this. Is anybody
I
a
think in the
fiscal
future-
agent for us?
I think in the future, these are things that were approved by prior boards.
Did we get paid something?
I,
I don't know.
not sure.
Probably now.
Okay, that's why we need to have a work session. Okay, The motion was made and seconded to table this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay. The next up would be 7E, resolution approving the lease extension for the Nestler Center for the offices of Department of Human Services.
And is this, Dawn, is this, from what I read, it's just committing us to 1 year and it's at the same rate?
That is correct.
There's no commitment to future years and higher rates?
That is correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 7F, resolution approving the single audit form for the CDBG funded Tama Building Project Grant.
This is tied to the other one. I'll make a mo,
Table.
and I will second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to table 7F. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 7G, resolution approving the contract with Dubuque Janitorial Incorporated for West Campus cleaning services. Is
Dawn,
Chris
you able
here?
to comment on that at all?
Yep, I worked with our facilities superintendent. We actually had did some costing. It does need a full-time person out there because of the size of the facility. And that was about twice as much. The cost is about twice as much to do it internally with a county employee versus going out when we ask for bids. So this would be for a person 8 hours a day out at that facility, keeping it clean. We also have, so this is both the shop and the office as well, because there will be offices in the shop area.
This is a full-time position,
It's 8 hours of cleaning per evening, yes.
and the proposal is to pay them $23,700.
That is correct.
What is that per hour?
About, a little about $11, 11 something.
Yeah.
Do we have the right to ask if there's any benefits?
I don't know if it will be one person or two people doing 8 hours, so I'm not sure if they're gonna have multiple people.
And when you're talking about 8 hours, that could be
Two people
two
doing
people.
four,
They might be staggered. There might be someone that might come in later, like towards the end of the day, and somebody might be in there early. But I did ask Chris if he looked at combining the new buildings with some of the other places that we use outsourced custodial services. And, he did respond that it would be more costly to do that. I think, obviously for the taxpayers, we have to look at the cost. I think employees feel better having Dubuque County employees in the building. I think there's a certain, a trust issue. So, this is what the recommendation is, and Dawn, you're supporting this recommendation?
I am, yes.
Okay.
They currently provide services for us in our old jail as well. This company does, so it has been, we've had good success with them in that location.
We have to have somebody in place, so there has been thought and discussion on this. What, the contract, if we decide to, down the road, that it makes more sense to, combine this with some other positions and have a county employee handle this, can we get out of this contract? Do we know what the escape clause would be?
This is a 1 year, a 1 year agreement, and it does say that we may cancel it with a 30-day written notice.
Right.
And they may as well.
I was asking the question,
And they may as well, both.
Yes.
right?
Both parties have an easy out.
And I was asking the question more for the benefit of those present and those who might be watching or listening to our discussion. So I think in this case, I do think that due diligence has taken place. I think we can see if the departments that are gonna be in there, the 4 departments that are gonna be in there have problems. I'm sure we'll hear about those and we'll keep an eye on it. And if it doesn't work, we know we can fall back to having someone, like, an employee of the county or a different janitorial service if we're having problems. But I think we've had,
And look, I'd like to keep my eye on where the minimum wage goes. There's some discussion about minimum wage, whether that's gonna change, some legislation, I think pending. I'm not prepared to do anything about that tonight, but I would revisit this on an annual basis to see. Because I think this isn't a living wage. And that's somebody else's decision, not mine, but, we've talked about that before, that what are the wages that we're paying even in contract basis? So it's something that, Dawn, it's your recommendation, and you've been here when we've had those discussions before as well, so probably something we need to look at in priority setting. So I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to approve it at this time.
okay, motion to approve.
I'll second that with some discussion.
Motion was made and seconded, open for discussion.
Anthony, most of your staff, you have the lion's share of the staff out there. Are you okay with outsourcing the janitorial needs?
We do enjoy the staff member from Dubuque County that cleans our current office. She does a great job. But I understand, Superintendent Soder has to kind of pencil this out and see how this is really gonna cost. So, I think we'll give it a shot and, try this out. And if we have problems, then we can readdress this in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the resolution for the contract with Dubuque Janitorial for the West Campus Cleaning Services signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. It was good discussion. 7H, resolution, approve the amended FY 20 Dubuque County Secondary Road 5-year construction program. Anthony, do you have any?
This was the public hearing.
Yeah, nothing to really add. It's just based on my comments from the public hearing.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
okay. All in favor of approving the resolution to approve the amended FY 20 Dubuque County Secondary Road 5-year construction program signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, carried, 3-0. 7I, resolution, approve the reclassification portion of Humke Road from Area Service B to Area Service C Road. We had a public hearing on this just a few minutes ago. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the reclassification of Humke Road from Service Area B to Service Area C Road.
I will second it. Discussion.
I'm pleased we're meeting the needs of the citizens, and this is one of them. I just think there's a better tool to do that, and I would like to see us pursue that. So I'll be voting against this, but I'm not harmed by the process. I just think there's a better method.
I think, in my opinion, I agree with you that Mr. Potter and the neighbors out there, the property owners handled this well and went through the process and put some time into it and rescued me. Mr. Potter rescued me on that road. I do think that closing it is the right thing to do and gating it. And I think in the appropriate amount of time, we'll see how this is working. And I think, my concern was I didn't want to put the gates up, which will have a cost to it from the county, and then in 6 months have the landowners come back and say, now we want it abandoned. So I won't support that for at least a period of time. So, okay. All right, any other discussion? All in favor of the resolution to approve the reclassification of portion of Humke Road from Area Service B to Area Service C signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Carries 2-1. And again, thank you all for your work on this. 7J, a resolution to approve the agreement with the City of Graff for the resurface Graff Court project. Anybody to comment on this? Anthony?
Yeah, so the committee that helped to vote on this recommended to award $22,712 from the RCTP program to the city of Graff, and the total project cost would be $28,750, with Graff picking up $6,038 of that cost. So I am recommending this as well.
Questions for Anthony?
This your first project in Graff?
Yes, it sure is.
Mine too. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution, approving the agreement with the City of Graff for the resurface Graff Court project. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 7K, resolution to approve the agreement with the City of Worthington for the 1.2-inch overlay on Park Drive project. Amount of $13,856. Anthony, anything on?
Yep, another one of the recipients or projects being recommended in fiscal year 20. As stated, this would be for $13,856 of the RCTP funds from the county. Total project cost $17,540. This is for milling and 2-inch overlay on Park Drive, and I would recommend this project as well.
Make a motion to approve the resolution?
And I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution approving the agreement with the City of Worthington for the 1.2-inch overlay on Park Drive project. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0. All right, we have 7L, resolution approving the Food Policy Council's grant recommendations. And we have, let's see here. I was asked to read this into the record on 7L on this issue. This funding recommendations for the FY20 Community Grant Program will be Dubuque Urban Farm, and that's supply seeds for garden education, seed starting $890. The next one is Convivium Urban Farmstead, food education with Marshall Lee's diabetic families, $4,890. The third one, Dubuque County Agricultural Extension District Youth Outreach and Local Foods, $720. Fourth, Urban Bicycle Food Mission, expand healthy deliveries to food desert areas, $4,000. The Dream Center, supplies for students pursuing job skills in food preparation, $1,000. Society of St. Vincent de Paul, purchase new freezers, $3,000. Dem Greens, invest in garden structures for fall and winter transition, $3,000. And Millwork Night Market, locally sourced incentives for hot food vendors, $2,500 for grants totaling $20,000. And I don't know if we have anyone to speak on this. You can approach the podium if you like. We did have a discussion, a work session on this earlier. We're now dealing with the resolution. Some of the folks weren't here today, and folks watching may want just a elevator version, Michaela, if, looks like they're kind of pushing you forward, so. So,
My name is Michaela. I live at 1718 Diane Court. I am the chairwoman of the Dubuque County Food Policy Council. We have been recently established. This year, we are very appreciative of the $20,000 that the Board of Supervisors allotted for us to utilize for programs that you heard about this evening. We do have 5 of our potential grant recipients here sitting in the room today. So I would like to recognize all of you for all of your continued work and boots on the ground efforts in our local foods community. So overall, our Food Policy Council really took a look at all of the grants that we received as they related to our mission, as well as we looked for measurable goals. So all of our efforts that we are looking for in the food policy realm kind of happened to fall this time under food insecurities and focusing on those within the city of Dubuque. So we look forward to all of the reports that will be received quarterly from all of our potential grant recipients, and then also to continued efforts throughout the county to integrate our local foods efforts.
okay, thank you, Michaela. Any questions for Michaela? Thank you. All right, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the resolution confirming the grant recommendations.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Thank you. 7M, the resolution approving FY20 funding agreement with Western Dubuque Community School District to provide funding for the SRO, or School Resources Officer, and Dubuque County DARE programs. And we have Sheriff Kennedy with us. And we did have a work session on this earlier as well. And I don't know if there's any additional comments, Sheriff Kennedy, for the folks that might be, that weren't here or are watching or listening?
Kind of reimburse us a little bit for Sarah's time and her wages and benefits. Next year, they have agreed to pay an additional $5,000, and so next year's contract will be for $21,800. So.
Okay. Any questions for Sheriff Kennedy?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Carried 3-0. Thank you, Sheriff Kennedy. Next up is 7N, resolution approve the sheriff's equitable sharing agreement with federal agencies.
What this is, it's just our end of the year report for our forfeiture fund. We, due to some changes in the rules for DOJ, the sheriff's office actually had to absorb the DDTF's forfeiture fund into our forfeiture fund, which is a little bit more of a hassle for us in managing and tracking, but it's their new rules. So it's just our annual end of the year report, and we have to have the board chairman's signature so I can send it into the feds.
So the agency fiscal year 2020 budget of 12 million, that's yours?
That's mine.
That's, I would assume. And then the ending equitable sharing funds balance is 710,000?
That is our.
Tell me more
so-
about that. 'Cause
Yeah, so the sheriff's office has a forfeiture fund. It's broken into 4 different sub-funds. We've got the Department of Treasury funds, which can be used for certain things, and then we've got the Department of Justice funds, which can only be used for certain things. 100,000 of our funds are earmarked for taser replacement, which is actually due, I believe, in February. And then we've got another checking account that's kind of like a pass-through account where when we need funds for something, we move it from our savings into the checking, and then we just write a check generally for the amount of whatever we're buying. Of that 710,000, $1,000. There, over half of it is the federal forfeiture money from the DDTF. That it's the money that we were using for the purchase of the squad cars and things like that. So, so that's where that extra money was from.
So what would your projecting ending balance be at the end of 20, a year from now?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So,
But a bulk of that, a big bulk of that will go to the squad cars, right? I forget we're gonna phase them in.
a large amount of it
No?
has already gone to the squad cars.
Already got it, okay.
Yeah, in fact, we only have 3 more cars to purchase. But we do have some other things that.
Maybe I'm confused then, because it says, you know, it's only the 22nd here.
Yeah.
And this is from 6/30/19, so just at the end of, is this stating that your end of your balance is 710,000 at the end of June?
The end of June, yes.
Which was 22 days ago.
Yes,
And that's after the purchase of the vehicles.
that's after the purchase of the vehicles. But that is the combination of the DDTF fund and the sheriff's fund, which were previously separate.
Maybe that's why I'm confused why it's so big, because
So the
you
sheriff's-
combine them now.
Yeah, the sheriff's fund alone has about 335,000. That's before you deduct or you break the treasury fund is always separate. So the treasury fund has about 13,000 in it. The DOJ fund that is the sheriff's office fund has about 335,000 in it.
And that the sheriff's office fund is not the one that's combined with city PD, sheriff, and then
They're
the county
separate.
attorney?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a different
Yes.
pot, not on this fund at all?
Right.
Okay.
It's
It's
easier,
stashes
it's
of-
easier for us to keep track of them and where the money came from. The DDTF federal fund came from the Union Pharmacy case.
Okay.
So that's the Union Pharmacy money. The sheriff's office money came from the freezer plant meat case. So
Yep.
that's the meat money. And our department was the sole investigator of that case, and that's why we have that fund, because that money is strictly for our department, because it was our case. The Union Pharmacy was a joint effort, so it's a joint
You
fund.
still anticipate that, I think the number was 10, that all 10 of the new squad cars, new patrol cars would be used with forfeiture money?
Yes, and they have been. Everything that we've purchased so far has been strictly out of forfeiture. Some of the things have come in a little less than what we anticipated, which is good.
Yeah.
It just means we have more money to spend on other things
Within their requirements?
within their requirements, yes.
Has to be either like a new initiative or a new
It has to be
new
new
item, right?
equipment, like, to replace existing squad cars, we can't do that with it. It has to be something additional, something new. Certain things we can replace with it, like, you know, if we need a new canine, we can replace a canine out of it. We can, other new equipment, we've talked about, you know, once we get the squad cars out and distributed, then we've talked about possibly starting a drone program, because for a county our size, it's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous that we don't have our own drone pilots and stuff. So all of that stuff, the training, the equipment, that can all be taken out of that money. So we have other things that we have planned for that money, and we're gonna continue spending it down until we reach a net zero balance with our shooting range funding, so.
Will the additional 3 cars be the following fiscal year, or do you anticipate that might happen sooner?
No, we are hoping to have them on the street in December,
Oh, great, okay.
and then we'll be done with that project, so.
Is this a typical balance, Sheriff, or is this just built up because of something unique?
So the drug task force money was held for a long period of time because it was supposed to go to pay for the shooting range. So they had that plan in the works for a long time. It just, things didn't pan out as quickly or in the way that they had originally intended. So that's why we had such a large fund balance. That, if everything would have gone the way it was originally planned, that money would have been gone and spent.
So what kind of a fund balance would you anticipate maintaining?
You know, I I would like to have it, by the time we taking out the drug task force funds, just speaking for the sheriff's office funds only, I'd like to maintain it around $100,000 to $150,000, just to help us pay for any large projects that we might come up with. You know, it's kind of a nice, I guess, in a way, rainy day fund. If there's things that we need that the county, that we, number one, either don't want to burden the county with, or that the county won't pay for, it's a way for us to get the things that we need without going through the county. So,
Thank you.
yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution in 7N. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Next up is 7O, resolution approving the grant award for the FY20 Iowa Burn Justice Assistance Grant. I believe the amount is $63,317.
And that's our annual grant that we get. It's for the drug task force. A lot of it goes to overtime and projects related to meth investigations, heroin investigations, things like that. So
This is the state of Iowa money.
this is, yes, and it has actually, I believe we got an increase this year over last year because our investigators up at the task force have done such a good job that when you do a good job, the state throws you more money, so.
What do we spend these dollars on?
A lot of it goes to overtime, really,
So we just use it as part of the budget?
more or less, yeah. So it's a grant, so it's gets reimbursed to the county.
And obviously it must be pretty open-ended if they allow you to have that discretion, or is it specifically earmarked for personnel, or kind of reading
I'm
through
not,
it? But
I don't know the whole list of
Okay.
things. I know
There's-
personnel costs are one of the things, so.
they're allowed.
It's, personnel costs are probably the largest portion of it, so.
I just wonder if it would ever be something that could be used if we have a new idea.
Well, I mean, it's a justice assistance grant, so as long as it was something that was probably in the furtherance of the criminal justice system, possibly, but I don't really know, so.
And this is a case of accessing, you know, we put up a match, it looks like about $21,000, and that helps us access $63,000 in federal funds, which is, you know, good use of our, good use of taxpayer dollars. Specifics of the program were included in the Dropbox.
Stella, this would be, when you get your free time, if the other board members agree, I would like to see eventually a breakdown of where our funds come from, local, state, federal, maybe other. You can find it as a percentage, nice little, usually I'm not crazy about the pie charts, but that might be one where we could do a pie chart.
Make a motion to approve the resolution approving the grant award.
I will second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution approving the grant award for the FY20 Iowa Burn Justice Assistance Grant for $63,317. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Thank you, Sheriff Kennedy. All right. Item 8 on the agenda, communications. We have the build grant letter is 8A. These will be received and filed without any specific action. 8B is a letter from ISAC, Iowa State Association of Counties, and that's, excuse me, letter from the Iowa State Association of County Supervisors regarding some adoption of articles of incorporation and bylaws changes. Item 8C, a letter from Dr. Springelmeyer regarding county mental health services. And item 8D is a manure management plan short form from Jason Wolf, the Worthington area.
If I might
It's a renewal.
make a comment, I don't believe that Mr. Springelmeyer is a doctor.
I was reading from my agenda.
Yep. So I think we should probably make sure that in the minutes, we're not reflecting that as Dr.
It
Springelmeyer.
says Stephen Springelmeyer. Does not say doctor. So,
Got a few acronyms behind his name.
okay, let the record show that we don't believe that Stephen Springelmeyer is a doctor. And we can correct that on our agenda.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the communications.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to receive and file the communications. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried 3-0. Item 9 on the agenda. 9A. These are appointments. 9A1. MHDD Stakeholder Committee, 2 vacancies for unexpired terms ending June 30th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have application of, I usually like to get the names in, so Lori Regan, Queen Street. And Sue Ellen Flynn, Glen Oak Street in Dubuque.
That was the first two.
That's the first two?
Yeah, I'll second that
Motion
motion.
made and seconded to approve the applications. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. Okay. 9B. Let's see here.
Has it been,
Oh, excuse me, 9. Yeah, there's a little goof up. I think my agenda says B2. It should be, I believe, A2. Does that make sense? We'll make that correction here. So 9A2, and that matches up with the Dropbox for Food Policy Council, 4 vacancies for terms ending July 1, 2023. 3 vacancies for terms ending July 1, 2022. 2 vacancies for terms ending July 1, 2021.
are any of these renewals? Because I thought the board was full, but
They were never officially appointed to it. They wanted to get their bylaws up and approved by you. So those were approved, I think, a month or
Okay.
2 ago. So in their bylaws, it says how the terms will go for the initial appointment, and then every appointment after that will be for 3 years.
Do we have in this case, a document, do we have a document showing the person and the expired term, or otherwise I can go through each one, or we could, I think they're each, all right, I'll read each one. I was hoping for a summary document, but I don't see that, so. I see expiration, 4-year term, 7/1/23. Dubuque Food Policy Council, I believe that's Gwen Hall Driscoll.
yes, it is.
I'll go on to the next one. For a 4-year term expiring 7/1/23, Cindy Hilken. for a four-year term expiring 7/1/23. Sunil Malapati. Four-year term expiring 7/1/23. Paul Schultz. Three-year term expiring 7/1/22. Pat Murphy. Three-year term expiring 7/1/22. Kathy, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading it. Hutton, Kathy Hutton. Three-year term expiring 7/1/22. Whitney Lee Sanger. Two-year term expiring 7/1/21. Michaela Freiberger. Two-year term expiring 7/1/21. Brad Kavanaugh. I believe that's it. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the applications for the Food Policy Council for the terms as specified. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, carried, 3-0. Okay, 9B, open vacancies on boards and commissions, informational only. We'll go to item 10, personnel requisitions. We have 10A, permanent full-time deputy, jail at sheriff's office, 1 position. B, temporary part-time election clerks for auditor elections, 4 positions. 10C, permanent full-time HR generalist, 1 position. Human resources generalist, 1 position. 10D, permanent full-time human resource assistant, 1 position. 10E, permanent full-time deputy, jail at sheriff's office, 1 position. We'll go to our human resource director, Dawn Sherman, for input on this.
Okay, I'm going to talk specifically about C and D. So I have 1 retirement coming up of also a long-term employee, Joan Bodner Noon. And so as we've been preparing for it, we've been looking at all of our processes. We went through a lean process for payroll. And just right now, they're both HR assistants. And as we look at what the duties are that they're actually doing now and to make that workflow a little more efficient, what I am recommending through these requisitions is to make one more of a generalist to keep kind of that higher level, really would be taking the employment, would have it from the time the employee starts to the time the employee ends, with benefits, getting them recruited, having them fill out all the paperwork, answering questions about insurance, timekeeping of all of it. And we do have an employee who's currently doing that. A lot of that is a higher level work where you're interpreting contracts with that to decide how they should be paid, working with the departments. And then really capturing all of those more administrative duties into the HR assistant so they can focus more on more of the day-to-day administrative helping with assistance with the board, as well as just some more of our routine duties. So I would like, it is a budget neutral. By moving 1 position up, I moved 1 down. The HR assistant, I took that pay scale down a little bit just to compensate for the recognition of the difference in duties. And I know the sheriff is here with his positions that he spoke about at his earlier work session.
I have a question for you, Dawn, about the positions of HR. So do you have anyone who assists you with board administration?
Tracy does to some degree. She does a lot of the boards and commissions, like when the applications comes in. She does some agenda work, but
Public
it's not.
notices?
What's that?
Public notices?
Correct. Yep.
I'm just wondering if that shouldn't be included in job description in some kind of formal way.
I believe it is in the HR assistant one. It just says assist the Board of Supervisors, assist with Board of Supervisors matters, house prepare agendas, mails notices to media. So it is captured in that HR assistant job, example of duties.
Either one of these or both of them exempt positions?
The HR generalist one will be,
So that's a salaried position,
correct.
right? And will this be posted then?
So the requisition is to fill them. I currently have an employee, which I believe is doing the HR generalist duties, so I would look to appoint her into that and then open up the HR assistant.
Okay,
And it's not any type of promotional, it's not a contract, it's not a union employee because it does work in human resources, so it's excluded. So I would open it up for both internal and external applications.
okay. All right,
So do we need a motion to approve that? Okay, and it's one motion?
We're batching them together.
let me, Mary, do we need a motion for each one, or? All right, so we have 10A, permanent full-time deputy jail at sheriff's office, one position.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 10B, temporary part-time election clerks for auditor elections, 4 positions.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 10C, permanent full-time human resources generalist, 1 position.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 10D, permanent full-time human resources assistant, 1 position.
Make
Make
a
a
motion
motion.
to approve?
I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. And 10E, permanent full-time deputy jail at sheriff's office, 1 position.
Question.
Question?
Is this both of these that you have here, Sheriff Kennedy, are listed as 1 positions? Should either of these be not a new position? I mean, which one of these is the result of the work session? I'm just trying to figure out which one is the result of the work session where we talked about there being kind of an overflow person.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Agenda for today. So,
Okay,
the one that we spoke about.
okay. Make a motion to approve the position of permanent full-time deputy, which is item 10E.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve 10E, permanent full-time deputy jail at sheriff's office, 1 position. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, carried 3-0. Thanks, Sheriff Kennedy. All right, item 11, tabled and pending items. Don't believe we have any. Item 12, public comments. At this time, anyone may address the board on matters of which are of concern to that person and which are not agenda items. Please go to the podium, state your name and home address. Please be aware that the board is limited in their ability to respond to such inquiries and Iowa code prohibits the board from deliberating or acting on items not appearing on the agenda. Seeing none,
That's a new piece we added, right?
all eyes were on Representative Eisenhardt again.
He's done. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Meeting adjourned. Do I get to do this?